Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our July edition of Tips and Tricks. Insight Data Analytics highlights in a deep dive into specialty modules, including industrial hygiene, occupational health, and risk and claims management. This is Fred Foster, and I'm joined by our Tips and Tricks team of Cooper Ratcliffe, Marjorie Faust, and Karen Cefantes. We have several guest speakers with us today: Kevin Richards, Dexter King, Elizabeth Paredes, and Ben Nyler. Today we will be covering report building and insight data analytics on production dashboards, industrial hygiene, risk and claims management, and occupational health. So to start us off, here's Cooper.
Ed, and welcome everyone to the second session that we are really diving into the Insight tool and business analytics side of things within Process Map, and really how to utilize it to your corporation's advantage to data discovery and risk analysis and breaking that down for your organization. So let's dive in today. We're going to click the Insight tab. When we click the Insight tab, that's going to populate an additional tab in your browser. Out of that browser, this page should look familiar. As we talked about last month, customer outputs, that is customer specific, and reports tab, dashboard tab, and then help. So now let's dive into really the foundational element of report building. So for those authors out there that really have explored the out-of-the-box solutions for reports or out-of-the-box dynamic dashboards, but want to see more of a summary view or a list view, if you will. How do they do that? How do you build something of a sort? So I will dive into that today. So let's get started. We're going to click the New button down here. When you click New, you will see items populate. Let's click the Report icon. When you click the report icon, it's going to populate you to this screen. For now, a simple approach. Let's have a blank slate. Let's click the blank option. And now you have two areas that populate for you, the plus sign and the select a source. So for the plus sign here, when you click that, it's going to populate these icons. For today's session, we're going to learn how to build and leverage the list report capabilities. So let's click this. This is a query name. We're not going to dive into that today, so I'm just going to click OK. So now the next step and final step to be able to start building and exploring your data is going to be select a source. So that select a source is simple. It's what data do you want to see? So that's broken down into different modules. So if you click Process Map Author Library, you can click that, and then now Packages. That is going to break these different folders out, and again, that is module based. For this training, I'm going to leverage the IMS module, so Integrated Incident Management, and I'm going to click that one more time. When I see nothing here and an open button, I know that that is my final click. I'm going to click the open, and now we have a dynamic package for IMS that is pulled in to this report where we can start leveraging different measures and pulling those into this list. So what is the first step that we would like to do? As always, you always want to start with a level 0. So your data can be leveraged in different structures, and so you want to always break out a level 0 so you're not duplicating your data. So how do we do that? How do we find a level 0? You can search level 0 here. What that does is it populates multiple level 0 items. If you do not know what you're looking for or what folder it should be in, you can always pull this in. You can click the level 0 name and hold and drag it into this report, and it'll pull it in here. So now if you're like me, you want to discover your data on the fly and make sure that the data that you're pulling in is what you really want to see. So how do we do that? You're going to navigate over to the top right of your screen called Page Design. When you click Page Design, that populates 3 items. We are going to look at and click on Page Preview. So that Page Preview has now allowed me to view the data real time as I'm pulling in measures into my list. So after this, again, different approaches. This list view can help you discover your data in more of a summary form or an Excel form if you want to look at maybe all near misses as a whole, or maybe all near misses that happened last week or last month. So I am actually going to build out today a list of the all near misses and their description that happened in the previous month. So for that, it just depends on what you want to see. You can see level 0 all the way to level 5, 6, depending on your organization. And then also we want to pull in a location level. So let's do that now. So we're going to navigate to these different folders. If we navigate to the enterprise structure, these are our different levels. And we just open up the folders. You can double click level 1 name, and that pulls it into that list. Or again, a drag and drop solution. You click the level 2 name, and now it drags it in. Now I want to see location specific. So I'm going to pull in a location code. And now that we have a good foundation, we understand what locations, what level 0 we're looking at, I can pull in the data. So I'm going to navigate to incident details. And as we go through here, these folders, it will take a little bit of time to get used to and understand where the data is pulling from. This incident details is Freud's, so like injured illness, near miss, vehicle, GL, environmental. All these are Freud's. I challenge you to go into the back end of Insight here and understand where the different measures are within the folders. And if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. So I'm going to go under Common Details, General Incident Details. This General Incident Details is where the different information for all the different incident types are going to be essentially the same information that's asked on the Freud. So incident type, I want to pull that in because I want to only filter near miss items. Okay, so now that I've pulled in incident type, I want to click on near miss. When I click on near miss, I have this filter option up here. When I click that filter, I have two options here, include or exclude. Include means I only want to see the near miss data items and information related to this data item, or exclude means I want to get rid of this out of my list report. I'm going to click include because I just want to look at near misses. Okay, and so again, now I know that there's information for ATCO Limited, so I will click that for a level 0, and I'm going to click include. So now I know that I'm only looking at this level 0 name, these locations, and near miss incidents. Okay, now is where you can pull in different data items that you want to see that's correlated to this incident. So you can pull in time of incident, you can pull in the description of incident, and then if you want to see maybe you wanted to see from a root cause perspective or contributing factor, you can pull in a root cause. So since this report will be filtered by previous month, we will go to time information and pull over month name. When we pull over month name, we want to filter by the previous month. So here, as you continue to scroll, you see 4 options: February, January, March, April. Actually 5 with August. So how do if I want to see more information, or you can do it, you can exclude the other months that you don't want to see. So you can click February, January, March, and you can hold Control and click, and that will select multiple, and then we can click exclude. So now that populates additional data. If we want to see more rows, we can populate, or we can go over to the right side of our screen and click the properties. That will be the 2 bars with the dots on them, and we can scan down until we find rows per page. I am going to put 2000 on here. We don't want to put a wild number there, because it will take, based on the amount of data that populates, the more data that you have within the report, the longer it will take to populate. So be cognizant of the number that you put within that. Now that we have additional rows, we can continue to scroll down and find June. So if I click June, I want to now only see previous month near miss information. I can click include June, and now I have a report that only shows me near miss incidents. It shows me the description of each near miss incident, as well as the root cause, the location, the time of incident. Again, you can include whatever data point that you would like within this report. Again, I kind of talked about, you can look at as a summary. This is really utilized as a summary and kind of an overview, and you can build this out. Maybe you want to look at specific items, specific time frames, specific locations, and then you can set email notifications up based on that. So now that I have kind of built this out, again, the list, it's kind of unlimited, right? It's a whiteboard, if you will. You can add however many data items you want here that are actionable. I challenge you to only put in actionable data. And so after you have built this list report, you want to save it. So you can go up here to the save to the floppy disk and click the arrow pointing down and click save as. When you click save as, I'm going to save it in my content. You always can, the team content is where you can access your company folder, and that is going to be your company specific. Everybody within your organization would be able to access that folder. I'm going to save this in my content, and I will label it training. I have given an overview today on how to build out a list report. Again, this is not a visualization type output. This is more of a summary report. You can export this to Excel and send out. You can set up a reoccurring, weekly email notification or whatever time frame that specific end users or team members within your organization need to view this data on. Next month, we will dive into the basics of dynamic dashboard building and kind of the functionality that comes out of that. Thank you for your time today. I will now pass it over to Ben to dive into 2 new production dashboards that have been built.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate that introduction. And welcome to Data Analytics. I'm going to show you a few things in our application regarding data and analytics, and I'm going to jump into Insight, where I'm going to show you some new production dashboards we've got, and just kind of go over in general how you can discover your data in Insight. So this is a landing page we have, and you can see here, this is a facility EHS program, and we have various widgets here of incident counts, top 10 categories by finding count, rate trending, body part injuries. So you can really build this out to what you want your dashboard to look like, or your homepage to look like. You can also have corporate dashboards and reports. Now, this is specific, however, to a specific location or a specific node in your organizational structure. You really don't get a comparison of location to location. You don't really get a performance, how one region is doing to another regions. That's why we have Insight. And Insight has all kinds of really great analytic tools that we provide. So you can do comparisons of your organizational metric trending. So this is our home landing page. If you click on the Insight icon, and as you can see, we've got, this is our demonstration module. It might look a little bit different from yours. We have several key tabs here. And the first one you're going to land on is customer outputs. Now these are custom reports and dashboards that you've either created for your team, has created for yourselves, or we have created for you as a custom report. And if you look, we have several other tabs here: reports, dashboards, and help. Now the second tab here is called reports. And reports are all our production reports. dashboards. Now, we've taken the best of breed of our throughout our organization over the years, and we've created quite a bit of really, really good reports for you to discover your data. You can also modify these if you're an author and really kind of drill down into what your needs are. I highly recommend that when you have time, if you're a consumer, everybody has access to Insight if you're given those permissions. So you can go in and you can run reports, you can run dashboards. I really suggest you go in and try running some of these reports and dashboards as well to start discovering your data, to see what kind of KPIs you can get out, do some risk analysis of your organization, and it really, really help you understand the status of your EHS program. Okay. Now here we have our dashboards, and they're all split up by the different modules. Here, these are kind of our legacy dashboards, module dashboard and adoption dashboards. These will eventually be sunsetted, but we're keeping them in here for now. So if you'd like to explore these or explore your data, please feel free to dive into these and take a look. They're very, very extensive and very, very broad in how much data they do cover. Now we get a little more specific into incident management here, audit management, calendar, and behavior-based safety. Okay, so I'm going to come back in a little bit and I'm going to dive into a couple new dashboards we have. So we have audit management, we have EHS manager audit analysis. This is persona-based analysis. If you were the EHS manager, we try to come up with different visuals and measures and metrics, what we think you might want to analyze or the data you might want to discover if you hold that role. We also have behavior-based safety analysis dashboard is brand new. So I'm going to go into these in a little bit more detail. Last tab I want to show you here on our homepage for Insight is our help section. Here we have release notes and how they apply to data analytics if you want to know anything new that's coming out with our latest releases. We also have training content. Now this is written content. I'm not going to open these up and get into them today, but please feel free to explore these. This is written content to help you step-by-step guide to creating reports. We also have video training guides and also reports inventory of our legacy reports. Now, I do have training classes from time to time, and we have more coming up the third week of August. So if you're interested in becoming an author and learning how to build reports and dashboards, please talk to your customer service representative, and we'll get you signed up for that. Okay, so now let's dive into some of these dashboards and see what we can discover. All right, so first let's get into our new EHS Manager and Audit Analysis dashboard. So if you go ahead and click on the hyperlink here, it'll open a new browser window. And apologize, give a minute for this to open. Now, one thing you're going to notice when you open these dashboards is there may be some, I'll make this aspect ratio a little bit smaller so you can see more content. You may see you're going to see some filters up top here, and there may be some default selections, like here we have a few years defaulted to give us a good spread over year trending. And you're going to see different tabs here along the top. This is our facility profile, at risk answers, highest risk by audit area, so on and so forth, all the way down to team performance. Now, we built this dashboard with help from some of our clients, also some of our internal Center of Excellence personnel, our leadership, really try to give you a very broad solution to discover your data within your audit program. And as you can see up here, we've got level zeros, or first filter. And I can't stress enough, whenever you're analyzing data, always make sure you select a level 0 to get started. As you probably know, we have many options of building out your enterprise structure. And all of that enterprise structure, you can have it by business unit, you can have it by geography, you can have it by reporting program, you can have it by individual or managers. You need to sort it to start out so you don't get duplicated data. Always remember to do that. Always select your level 2 geography. And then you see other filters that we put in. We put them into the canvas of the dashboard so they cascade the filters. Okay, so you can hear, as I said before, when we first started, you can look here by your entire organization. Here we've got audit counts by year and the different audit statuses. Now they may your audit statuses here are configurable. So this is kind of the full Monty of all the statuses that we have in our demonstration module, but you're going to probably see exactly what you want. It's really important if you are tracking your audit statuses. This visual is really good looking at your performance over the years of how successful your audit program is. And you can also look here, this is CAPA status by location, and we've color coded these to match the action item status or also finding status in the application. So blue is going to be open, green closed on time, yellow closed late, and orange or red are overdue. And this, you'll follow this color structure all the way through our dashboard. So you're going to see we've got some widgets here that can really help. This is by location. So as I said before in the beginning of the demonstration, you really don't have a clear in the application a comparison amongst locations like you do here, or even by department within a location. So if you filter by a specific location here, it's going to filter all your other widgets, and you're going to see here at, for example, Westlake, you can see by department all the CAPA status action items. And then if you click on specific ones, for example, construction, then it'll filter your other visuals, your other data, so you can look down into the details here. Okay, so these are what we call dynamic dashboards. So if you click on an element in the widget, it will filter all your other widgets for your data. So these are really great for playing around and discovering your data. Now, I could go on for like an hour of explaining this dashboard and really getting into your analysis of your program. But this is really just a taste for you today, just to kind of help you, just to get excited about exploring some of your data and getting into some of these new dashboards that we've created. For example, this is the team performance on action items. Here, it's a bit of an accountability performance of individuals if they're completing or if they're not completing their action items. This may or may not be a type of metric you want to look at, but it's here nevertheless. Okay, so next we are going to go in and take a look at behavior-based safety dashboard. Give me 1 second and I'll switch on over. Okay, lastly we're going to go over BBS observation analysis dashboard. You can find it down here at the bottom of the page of your dashboards tab. So if you go ahead and click on that, open it up, it'll open up into a new browser window. And you see here we've got it filtered for by geography. Now the different tabs are scorecards by department, work area. And we really take this down to the nitty gritty of your organization here with these dashboards. You can also filter by year. We've got your org structure here you can filter by. We're filtering by playing field here. You can also look by month and do comparison that way. And by observation type here, and you can filter between group or peer-to-peer if you'd like as well. Depends on how you've set up your BBS program. So here, observation cards by department, observation cards by work area. We're looking at the total number of cards created and the at-risk feedback. So we have some counters here showing your total value. So this is an overall health kind of picture of your program by location and or by your other levels of the org structure. Then you can look at your frequency, seeing if you're how much you're doing month by month, and also your observation details down below. This is good to see where you're trending. We started out pretty good in January, and our program's kind of phased out. So this might be a good indicator to get back on it with this location. And you can filter by other locations, and see how your program is doing from location to location. We also have observation risk analysis tab. Now this is kind of really diving deeper into your at risk. I see the red here is your at risk observations, and here it gives it by your category, whether it's electric safety, slips and falls, proper PPE. This gives you a really good indicator from your location or your region where you need to focus on based on your behavior-based observation, what kind of risk analysis you can do out of that, or where you have to focus your action items, focus your attention on training, guards, different other kind of lockout tagout programs. Probably pretty good at this location if you're getting a lot of observations here. Lastly, you can look into action item details. But this is a really good dashboard for you to discover your data for observations for your BBS program. And again, you can make a copy of this and you can change it, add widgets, add tabs. We've always say like these production dashboards, dynamic dashboards we give you, really a template for you to get started and really take your data analytics program to the next level. And so that is all I've got for you today. I hope this was informative, and you guys will be getting into your analytics a bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and hand things off to Elizabeth, who's going to dive into industrial hygiene. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, Ben, for that insightful information. So next, we will take a peek into IH. We will look at why we even care. What is IH? We will also take a look at the workflow for our IH solution. We will look inside our IH module at some of the screens, and then finish with a quick peek at a dashboard within our data visualization section of our solution. Let's start with what is IH, or industrial hygiene. This field has been around for a long time. It is that science and art devoted to the anticipation, recognition, evaluation, and control of those environmental factors or stresses arising in or from the workplace, which may cause sickness, impaired health and well-being, or significant discomfort among workers or among the citizens of the community. So based on this, you can see it is a very broad field and applicable to many types of industries. So how can Process Map help? Let's look at the Process Map Industrial Hygiene Module workflow. As you can see from the graphic, we have 9 steps or 9 phases within the module. This does not mean you have to use all 9 phases, but they are available to you. You can start with the qualitative and quantitative risk assessment, after which you create your sampling plan, and then you follow your sampling plan and perform the sampling, which is step 4, and you can then collect additional details such as time, the type of equipment, and then if you are using chemical samples, you will send them to a lab. We will generate the chain of custody. The lab will receive the samples, and then you can review the results and then approve them, reject them, and then if necessary, you can generate action items from within the IH module. Or you can just start from step number 4 and just start collecting samples. Now let's take a look at what we can see with our industrial hygiene module. We'll start with our specific industrial hygiene dashboard, which I have created for this demonstration. I can have our overexposure samples. I can have sample by status, created, not sent to the lab, results approved, results invalidated, results received. And of course, I can drill down to each one of those categories. Next, I can have what percent of my sample plan has been completed. I can also have action items, count by hierarchy of controls, whether it's administrative, engineering, elimination, PPE, or substitution. I can also have sample results by category, whether it's overexposure, over standard, above action level, or below action level. And again, you can always drill down. If we have action items, we can look at action items on time closure rate. So we can see on time, we can see average rate, and also we can look at samples collected versus samples analyzed over time. And always we can drill down. These widgets can be customized by either changing the type of graph or by changing the filters. If you have more than one module from us, you can see all of our action items into this widget. And then if you have our vaccine tracker, you can also see our results like that. Now let's go into our industrial hygiene module. First off, we see our assessments list. These are all the assessments that have been completed. We have their name, the date, the department, the team, we can complete the team, the stressors, the group size, the status, and any attachments that we may have. All these columns are customizable. They can be interchanged, the order can change, and we can also add additional columns. Next off, we can show you the sample plan list. These are the sample plans that have been developed, the dates, the plan created, whether it's been approved, the number of records, year-to-date samples taken, and of course the status. We can import one, we can delete, or we can create a new one very easily. Next off, if you wanted to create a new sample, we can create a diagnostic sample. We can select one from our plan. We can copy an existing sample, or we can create a blank. We can then create and select our sample equipment from our air monitoring pump, bulk sample, continuous operating pump, indoor air quality, passive monitors, noise dosimeters, wipe samples, lighting, sound level measurements, or direct reading instruments. Under Manage Samples, we can get a listing of all of our individual samples. We have our IH designated number, a name, date, selection, department, the stressors, the results, whether the status of the results, whether they have been received or approved, our sample equipment that we used, if we would like to capture the environment, and if we have done an investigation of why, the root cause, and then any attachments. You can also create chain of custodies. We have integrations with several laboratories, and if you have that integration, we can submit it to the lab right from within the application. Once the results are analyzed, we can import the lab results. You can choose the file, or the file can be uploaded automatically if there is an integration. We can manage the lab feed through this screen, where you can see the file name coming in, the file receive date, whether the date of the results loaded, normal samples, blank samples, loaded samples, all within the same application. If there are action items, we can manage them again within the application through this screen here, which can show you the totals, the close, complete, open, overdue, due over 30 days. You can also look at it in a list view. Now, let's take a look at what you can see with our data visualization tool. Now that you have had the samples, let's take a look We can look at categories or year over year, above action level, below action level, non-detect, overexposure, and overstandard. And of course, you can drill down into the data to see exactly which ones were these samples. You can also take a look at our top work areas by function based on high-risk exposures. From a look at this data, you can easily see that the area of highest exposure happens in maintenance. And again, we can drill down and look at those exact samples. Another thing we can look at is our results by hazard type, physical versus chemical hazard types. You can see them in these donuts. You can also convert them to bar graphs. There's a million ways you could look at data. So we hope you have enjoyed this introduction to our industrial hygiene module and how we can help you focus on the areas with the highest exposures so that they can be addressed and the employees protected. And now, off to Dexter, who will show you how our risk assessment module can help you focus on the right jobs and tasks.
Elizabeth, thanks for that wonderful overview of industrial hygiene. Hello, everyone. My name is Dexter King. Like Elizabeth, I am a portfolio executive and a member of the Center of Excellence at ProcessMap. It is with great pleasure that I have the opportunity to review risk and claims management with you today. So without further delay, let's look at our agenda items. What is risk? Why should you be concerned? What are claims? Also, a look at ProcessMap as a management tool for risk, and also risk and claims management. What is risk? Risk is defined as the probability of an event multiplied by its impact or severity. An event may be probable, but with consequences so minimal it would be considered low risk. Conversely, an event that occurs rarely but has severe consequences is considered high risk. In the EHS environment, effective risk management requires four basic elements: hazard identification, risk assessments to prioritize risk, implementing controls, and then the monitoring of those controls. While this defines our approach to risk assessments, how does a company manage overall risk? That's right, through insurance. And this is where we start talking about workers' compensation. With limited exceptions, the majority of state and federal workers' compensation programs are no fault, and a worker is entitled to recovery through a workplace-related injury illness. The key takeaway to this takes us to OSHA and our next topic. I promise you there will be no history lesson here, but we are going to talk about the General Duty Clause. Worker safety is of the utmost importance in the workplace and applies to any type of company. It is the company's responsibility to provide safe working conditions, and the EHS key stakeholder is responsible to be the main point of contact for employees. The safety key stakeholder must comply with OSHA requirements, and listen very astutely here. They can face fines, penalties, and even criminal charges if they don't comply with OSHA. In essence, the General Duty Clause says each employer shall furnish to each of their employees a place of employment which is free from recognized hazards that are causing or are likely to cause death or serious physical harm. Hazards which are causing serious physical harm to employees are best captured in incident management. This is why incident management is a good starting point, even though it is reactionary. So let's look at how to take this reactionary posture and turn it to proactive. But first, let's make sure everyone understands what is a claim. An insurance claim is a request for your insurance company to pay for something your insurance covers, such as a car accident, or an injury requiring treatment beyond first aid. The insurance company's job is to understand claims and to charge premiums for insurance coverage to allow businesses to operate. There are different claim types, such as property, automobile, general liability, and many more. OSHA estimates that injuries and illnesses, i.e., workers' compensation claims, cost employers $1 billion nationally every week. That was not a mistake. $1 billion nationally every week. Part of the reason is because companies often treat incident management as a reactive process, using it solely to address incidents that have already occurred. Companies with strong EHS performance also use incident data as a predictive tool, reducing organizational risk and minimizing the likelihood of reoccurrence. A tool such as Process Map functions to improve your incident management process and workflows. Using a risk matrix allows the organization to prioritize high-risk incidents for immediate corrective actions. In addition to social costs, i.e., brand damage, workplace injuries and illnesses have a major impact on an employer's bottom line. The cost of workplace injuries and illness include direct and indirect costs. Direct costs include workers' compensation premiums, medical expenses, and costs for legal representation. Examples of indirect costs include training replacement employees, accident investigation, lost productivity, and this list continues. Many may view self-insured as a cushion, but I urge you, this is not a good practice. So where do we start? Again, incident management. Now, let's go through a simple workflow of how to assemble risk strategy with your digital environment process map. Yes, we are in incident management, the summary screen. And yes, you do see a component here titled Risk Assessment Verification. Now, question for the group. Do you have this widget? The next question is, do you have risk assessments? If you have our risk assessment module, that is great. If you do not, you are missing a key element to meeting your obligation under the General Duty Clause. In this particular example, we can take the fact that an incident has occurred and then make it part of our workflow, thusly making the incident not only reactive but proactive to review the job or process, ensuring current strategies are properly aligned. But while we're here, let's take a look at how this works. If there has been no associated risk assessment for this job process, which caused the injury illness, from here you can create an action item to instruct a team member to conduct. If you are not conducting risk assessments, then we revert to the General Duty Clause and your understanding that we have opportunity for improvement. With this particular slide, you will need to subscribe to the risk assessment module. And when selecting yes, the system will prompt you to select from the pick list. Of course, should you know of the naming convention of the risk assessment, you may start typing and the system will provide selections. In this particular approach, let's look at a list screen should you click on the pick list. Here, since it may have been a combination of tasks in lieu of an entire job or process, you can select multiple assessments and then review further actions, which may include a review of the task, job, or the process. We have gone into risk assessments while in incident management, but this was to show the workflow should you have the risk assessment module and recognize the ability to institutionalize proactive measures along with the needed reactive measures. So let's take a look at the risk assessment module. How do you identify hazards? Proactively with safety walks or reactively, i.e. on the heels of an incident? Regardless of the approach, once the organization is aware of the hazard, the organization must eliminate or put measures in place to mitigate the risk. The textbook way to approach this and the recommendation from OSHA is to assess the risk by evaluating the likelihood of the incident occurring, evaluating the severity of injury, harm, damage, and the frequency in which the task is completed to understand this may be a specialty skill which may need specialty training. So let's look at our risk assessment module. Our risk assessment module provides functionality to completely support risk identification and the deployment of your risk matrix to prioritize those risks, which are likely to be more damaging to the organization. Here you can select an existing risk assessment and create versioning, make a copy to ease the data point entry efforts, inactivate, delete, or create a new risk assessment. In the spirit of this being tips and tricks, why don't I share a tip related to the risk assessment setup? This tip is related to importing tasks. This is a huge help when approaching risk assessments from the job or process perspective, in which there may be several tasks with multiple hazards for the task. When clicking on the Import Task button, it will render an Excel spreadsheet in which you can complete and import. Let's take a look at this. This spreadsheet can be used to load multiple values that may be imported directly to your new assessment. Another cool tip is that the template will also provide a tab at the bottom showing field specs and provide information to keep your values in line to the configuration of the software. So now we have covered incident management, proactive approach to validate risk assessments, and then an overview of the risk assessment module. So now let's bring in the claims aspect. Claims. Some claims are to the point and crystal clear. If any of you have dealt with a musculoskeletal disorder, MSD related claim, it could drag on for a lengthy time period. But what about those claims which may be questionable or possibly non-work related? Are you in the know from the claims perspective? Well, let's take a look at claims management as it is represented in the incident management module. Here we have a listing of claims from the Manage Claims screen. Highlighted in red are multiple data points in which may be more important to certain strategies or initiatives. Here's also a tip in which you can trim and or change the data points listed here on the Manage Claims list screen. When clicking on Edit, it will bring you to the Manage View screen. When expanding select columns, there will be an extensive listing of data points in which you can move from the available columns on the left to the selected columns on the right. From this point, you may save this view as, or simply view results if this was a one-off search. And of course, if you have any questions on this functionality and or our ability to integrate with your workers' compensation third-party administrator, please let your customer success manager, CSM, or your portfolio executive know you have interest. Right? Well, of course, Process Map likes to provide best-in-class data insights. So let's look at the last step, understanding your claims and where to start. Our Insight tool brings all of this claim data with a drill-through ability. To close up, remember that risk may encompass far more points than incident management, training management, corrective preventative actions, ergonomic assessments. Your total risk exposure must include those items that have the most significant impact to the organization. Delivering a message or slogan or a mission statement at a new hire orientation is only a start. Risk must be identified and assessments completed to mitigate associated claims. This concludes my presentation. Kevin, over to you. Looking forward to hearing your messaging around occupational health.
This is going to be a great segue to what our next module we're going to be demonstrating is going to be our occupational health module, or some of our customers refer this as our medical management module. Again, those of you that are using industrial hygiene, not only with our platform or outside, as you know that if you are over the permissible exposure limit, that you must enter your employees into a medical surveillance program. And the OccHealth module can provide that one-stop shop for you to be able to obtain all of those medical records in concerns with medical surveillance. today's showcase of the occupational health module is not only going to be to those that have facilities with clinics, but we'll also demonstrate how some of our customers that do not have in-house clinics and how they're using this module to manage their medical records outside of the third-party clinics. So again, this is a very versatile module that does not always have to have an on-site clinic, but it can have those medical records kept from third parties as well. As you see here, we have our landing page. Again, you can set up different personas as you're more aware of. And this one here is around a medical view. This module also ties into our incident management module, which you'll see later on. And then also can have all the different body parts coming from the occupational health module as well. In here, you see that we typed in person's employee profile name, that you'll be able to go within one click, go right into the employee's occupational health profile. In here is all the medical records in and around this particular employee. Again, just like all of our modules, these are roles and permission based of who can see these medical records and what areas are they have expertise in seeing those items that they need to be concerned with. On the left-hand side are all the different things that are in the occupational health module within the employee medical profile. You have all the different appointments. You can track whether they're active, completed, even no-show appointments. If this employee has been involved in incidences in our incident management module, you'll be able to click in here and tie those events back and forth, whether you want to check on a status of a workers' comp claim or maybe update the OSHA logbook. We have all the different encounter types. You can create different action items out of this module as well. You have the opportunity to do clinic notes, SOAP notes. There's a repository for all your attachments, but attachments can be attached by encounter as well. And you'll also be able to manage leaves and restrictions within this module as well. To begin here, you'll see over here on the right-hand side, these are all the medical visits that this particular employee has come into and has documentation on. We have over 27 different encounters that you'll see here in a little bit that are configurable for the end user to use within this module. As you see, as Elizabeth was speaking about earlier about medical surveillance, you see here that if you're over the PEL for your hearing conservation program, you can see that I had my audiometric testing and now I have my follow-up testing here that needs to come up in this particular November. You also can be tracking your spirometry and your fit testing around those that have to be required for wearing respirators. So again, one easy stop shop for those to come in here and see their medical surveillance program all in one spot. I'm going to show you a couple different ways now that we have to schedule different appointments. So we have one that's called Appointment Central. In here is where you'll be able to set up appointments based off of, again, if it's a third-party clinic or if you want to have internal, you're more than welcome to have appointments set up in either way. So you see here that these are all the appointments that are been scheduled for today. These are the ones that have been shown up already and have completed their encounter. If you have those that didn't show up, you have opportunities to here reschedule this encounter, so you can reschedule it, or you can make this as a no-show, or maybe you want to cancel it for whatever reason. Again, all permission based on what you'd like to do with that appointment. You can go in and add new appointments in here. You can do appointments on supervised contractors, unsupervised, or even visitors. And again, by typing in just a few letters or the employee's ID number, you'll be able to get that particular employee that you're setting up the appointment for. It automatically defaults to current date and time. If you want to do details down to a location department, you can do so. All of these drop-down are configurable by your local admin rights. So again, if you want to add in or have different visit reasons, you can do so. But again, we were talking about medical surveillance, so I'll just leave that here for medical surveillance. You can do, if you have healthcare entities, again, if you want to track off-site, you're more than welcome to do on-site or off-site. Again, we can do these as configurable items in there as well. In here, you see that we have 27 encounters out of the box. We're not going to cover them all during today's demo. If you'd like a further deeper dive demo, you are more than welcome to do so. Again, we have immunizations from Hep B to your COVID. You can do administer medication if it's over the counter, prescription. Again, we have all kinds of medical surveillance around audiometric, spirometry and fit testing. We have drug testing and alcohol testing. So again, quite a variety of different areas that you'll be able to have your medical records. So those of you who don't have clinics and maybe they're bringing in external medical records, you can choose external medical records. You can have this saved and it just creates the appointment, or you can go right in there and then create the appointment. In there, you can then just go and then enter in all the information in and around those particular external medical records. If this was tied to a incident from the incident management module, you could toggle this over to yes, and it'll toggle or tag this to the incident management module. In here, this is a third-party provider. So again, you can just put in doctor, whoever that this provider was. You can then have the different record types. If this was some kind of medical assessment, again, this test type, maybe it was an MRI, what body part, maybe it was an arm, and then you can upload an attachment as well. So you can go and then bring in like the MRI for that particular employee and then hit save. So therefore, it's really quickly, very intuitive to upload different medical records very quickly if you want to look to add in those different items into the particular medical record keeping system. So again, it's very quick and easy to go and update that. If that is one way of doing an appointment, you can just have it go into Appointment Central. If you're looking for more of a scheduler type feel, touch and feel, you come in here to what we call Appointment Calendar. Appointment Calendar in here will give you a calendar view of if you have on-site providers. You can then choose that particular provider that you're looking to schedule that with. Again, with the clinic of where that particular is, and then you want to see the week view. So in this week view, you will then be able to see where there's open time slots available to schedule this appointment with this healthcare provider. You also have the availability to block off time slots, whether your lunch hour or maybe there's training for the physician is going to be off site. You can block different time slots off here as well. So then you can have those scheduling appointments be available on the right time slots. The other neat way for those customers that don't have on-site clinics is uses what we call add independent encounter. The add independent encounter is, again, the quickest way to kind of get your medical records into the system. So again, maybe you're going to be doing the Hep B testing. So you come in here, hit administer immunization, and you come in here, type in the particular employee that you're looking for. You get that employee. It automatically defaults to current date and time. It'll default to a healthcare provider. And then you go in here and hit save. And then you can come in here right away with no other further details and be able to add in that immunization. So again, in here, it was not work related, it was not for travel, but we're going to do the Hep B series, right? And so in here, automatically will default to the materials that you have in your inventory. So you can do inventory counts in here if you want. If you don't want to do inventory, then that is something that is not required. It's just something we'll just put as a placeholder in there for you as well. Again, once you conclude all the rest of these, then you'll be able to hit save. We do have customers that have mandatory uploading of immunization to the state registry. So we have built an engine to like South Carolina registry. If that is required in your particular state, we can build that engine in there as well to upload that immunization that was given up to the state registration page. So here you see I have my first Hep B shot that was given. And then as you know, for Hep B, I need to have a follow-up within 30 days. So second series shot. So you can schedule that automatic appointment right here on the fly. So again, it's something that you can be able to do. And then you can set in a reminder that you have this second series set appointment set for your Hep B. So again, this is a really quick and easy way to, again, track your immunization records. Again, we've had other customers that track their COVID immunizations in here as well. And again, we can configure those very quickly for you. Again, just going to quickly go back into the medical profile page and just show you just a couple more highlighted areas in this area, in this module. So again, you can just double click on this particular person and you again come in with all their medical records. If you wanted to go to the past records, you can click on those previous ones. Oh, I chose the wrong person. All right, switch back over to my profile page. Again, if you want to see previous records that were obtained, you can come in here and click those and get those particular details. Again, what's really nice too is we have an area for clinic notes. In here, it can just be notes in and around certain visits or certain items. If you need to lock these notes, these are lockable, so only those people that have access to clinic notes would have access to those. If those of you that want to use SOAP notes and are familiar with the subjective, objective, action, and plan, you'll be able to do those as well. And then you'll be able to do your SOAP notes right here within the system as well. You also have an area to track leaves and restriction. So leaves will be in here. You can track like FMLA, you can track short-term disability, and then track those return dates coming back to work. So some of my customers do have a process of when they come back to work of different medical exams that they need to complete. So this is one way to review those medical records when they're coming back to return to work. And last area here is the restrictions area. Again, in the restrictions here, you can come in here, and this is not the restriction like on an OSHA log, but this is restrictions around whether they can carry or lifting, or a different type of restrictions of they can never lift 50 or carry 50 pounds, and they can maybe carry 20 pounds occasionally. Again, these are able to be tracked in here and then upload those different restriction types. You can email these out. You can also generate a report. You also have ways of customers that will email through an action item on whether they can accommodate these restrictions as well. So again, in our occupational health module, it is a holistic way to track your medical records. This was a kind of high level view of our module. As you see, there are many different aspects of this module that if you'd like to see a deeper dive, you are more than welcome to set up a demo and we can go into greater detail in this particular module. So again, this is a module that has been utilized by quite a few customers. It is, like I said, it does speak back and forth to the incident management module. We also have many customers that use a med form, which again allows the employee to go see a medical clinic, and it's also being able to tie to either the OccHealth module or the incident management module if you so choose to. And we also have customers that digitize all of their medical records for you know for their consent forms. So again, if you want to upload consent forms into the system and have everything digitized, you are more than welcome to do so as well. So again, I want to thank you very much for your time on this quick overview on the occupational health module.
I want to thank everyone for joining us this morning. Our next Tips and Tricks webinar will be on Wednesday, August 31st at 11 o'clock Eastern, and it will include highlights of version 22.2, which is scheduled for release on August 22nd. Some of the items that are coming in version 22.2 include in audit management, pinpointing findings on a facility map, searching for questions, being able to copy location questions and protocols. In Foundation, system admins can create system views for the homepage and list screens. Location admins can import organizational components, users, and employees for their location. We've added a date filter of before a date or after a date to the list screens. We have enhanced copy location features, and we've added a new language, Serbian. In incident management, system admins can configure investigation requirements. You'll be able to select body parts from a body image diagram. We've added significance levels in reports and a new statistics report for incident investigators. In learning management, there'll be notifications for deleted courses or sessions, a new drop-down field for trained, certified, or trained and certified, an enhanced platform for launching and resuming courses. In performance management, you'll be able to copy program features to ease setting up programs for the next year. We've added an option to recalculate existing KPI data after you've done a formula update. In Mobile Pro, we're adding multi-factor authentication for Okta and Azure. You'll be able to scroll on read-only text. Subtype and section dropdowns will always be visible in audits. And we've added the drop pin field to select injury locations from a facility map. And just as a reminder, you can access the release notes for version 22.2 on our help site. And you can also review any of our previous tips and tricks webinars from the help site also. I want to thank everyone for joining us. If you have any further questions, please put them in the chat, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you.